Hello, welcome to Fitness Soul Podcast. I'm your host, Leszek Stamachowski. Today, we are meeting with a very brave woman who is on the big mission of saving the world, one refill at a time. Imagine the world without the plastic waste. Imagine gold, clean beach, no overflowing bins, full of coffee stirrers, water bottles, and bags. Just crystal clear water, full of happy sea creatures. That's the world my today's guest wants for us, but she doesn't believe that we are doing enough.
Recycling worldwide is not the answer to our problem of plastic pollution.
This was Kelly. When I first met her a few years ago, she had a job and pension and all the employment benefits. And then one day she decided to risk everything. She has quit her well-paid job, solid pension, business car, regulated work hours, paid holidays, and she has opened the shop.
Okay, so I'm Kelly, Wright, if you want my surname, and I'm the founder of the Refillery, which is a plastic-free grocery and ethical goods store in the south of Edinburgh.
Mm-hmm. And what you do there in this shop?
So we sell general groceries, all plastic free. So the real premise of this is to come in with your empty containers or empty packets and refill rather than rebuy your packets. So for instance, you might have an empty packet of pasta, rather than throwing it in the bin, bring it to our store and fill it up again with pasta. So the idea is that you reuse your packaging as many times as possible to justify its existence.
Okay, and why it's important?
It's important because recycling worldwide is not the answer to our problem of plastic pollution. We only recycle worldwide 9% of what we put into the recycling system. So we've really created for ourselves this throwaway culture of just use once and put in the bin and then forget about it. Plastic is a really good material. It's strong, it's durable, it lasts a lifetime, and that's why it was developed. But we treat it in a way that it's disposable, and it's not. Then we need to use it as many times as possible.
So you are not on the war with the plastic.
No.
It's just...
No, our idea is to sell loose goods so that you can come and refill, hence the Refillery. But we also sell a range of other grocery items that are plastic free as well. So for instance, we might stock something that is wrapped in cardboard rather than plastic. We sell tins that don't have BPA lining in them, which is a plastic lining. Mm-hmm. So things like that. We would opt for something in a glass jar rather than something in plastic as well, because a glass jar can either be recycled infinitely or it can be reused.
Okay. And what are the advantages for like a regular person like me going to your shop? Obviously, knowing I'm going to save the planet. And I'm going to use we're not going to produce more plastic, but are there any advantages of not using plastic for holding the foods in?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, firstly, though, you're not a regular person, so it's not a good example.
I've been once.
You've been a regular person once?
I've been once.
Oh,
maybe I will go again.
You've been to the shop once?
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess... The biggest thing, if it's not about saving plastic and reducing your plastic consumption, it's portion control. So you can control exactly how much you're buying. So when you go in a supermarket or grocery store, you have a packet there. It might be 500 grams. So you have to buy 500 grams. You might not want that. You might not use that. You might find half of that packet in the back of your cupboard in 12 months' time. So you can portion control. You can get what you need when you need it.
Okay. And do you know who is a customer? Do you've got any avatar of your customer? Or
That's a really good question. And lots of people ask me that. And when I first opened the store, I did have an image of who that customer would be. And it's not as I imagined at all. It's across the board. It's everybody. It's young and old. It's different professions. It's all walks of life. Everybody is coming in with a mission to do something. They want to make some sort of little change in their life, that they can say, you know, I've done something to help this climate emergency. It might be really small. It might just be buying a bamboo straw or whatever that might be. But if that makes somebody feel good about that purchase that they've just made, then that's great.
Okay, so it can be everyone from like very young people, students who are probably very aware of this, but you've got the older people as well coming in, and perfect.
So for the older people, it's a really interesting one, because for older people, it's more nostalgic, because it's kind of going back to the way that they used to shop. And that's really the chat that you get when they come in. It's like, you know, I remember doing this as a child. I remember going with my parents and buying things loose, you know, so it is really nostalgic for them. For younger children, sort of, you know, nursery, primary school children, it's about being closer to the food and being interactive. So, you know, they can help their parents to shop. They can use the levers on the machine, you know, and they can really reconnect with food, and they love that.
Okay, and from people who are not coming to your shop, it's going to be a tricky question. Why people don't come to your shop?
Why they don't?
Yeah, do they have any, like, maybe they have some ideas about, maybe they think it's too expensive, or maybe do they think this sometimes? Do you have people saying to you, I'm afraid it's too expensive, and what you say then?
Yeah, we do have that, but equally we have a lot of people that are surprised at how cost effective it is as well. It depends on you as a person. It depends how much you have to budget and how closely you have to budget. But again, you know, the advice that we give our customers is you can portion control. So, you know, because for instance, we sell organic fruit and vegetables, which are more expensive. Of course they are. They shouldn't be, but unfortunately they are. So just offset the cost of that by buying less and wasting less. You know, we've got to remember that in the UK, we waste a fifth of the food that we buy. That's huge. So you can imagine that on your food bill anyway. If you can portion control that and reduce that fifth, then you're saving money anyway.
So it seems like you are super passionate about the shop. How long you've been running the shop now for?
Since January.
And how it's going? It's growing, obviously.
Yes, it's great.
And why this shop? What's happened in your head? Like, what you've been thinking? What you've been doing before, or maybe like this?
Okay, so before I was working for a big food manufacturer. So we supplied Waitrose specifically, but through my career, I've supplied all of the other major retailers as well. So Asda, Tesco, Sainsbury's. So yeah, sort of working in food manufacturing, specifically in product development, marketing and sales. I fully understand the need, or the creation of this sort of need for plastic packaging, and didn't really give it a second thought, to be honest, until about 3 years ago. You know, I was happily developing products and launching them in needless plastic, probably sometimes overpackaged, because I didn't have this knowledge, as we all have now, about the devastating effects of plastic pollution.
So why should they do this? What's the reasoning for putting so much plastic, or the packaging? Is it the money reason? Like they want to make it looks bigger or better, or what's in your opinion?
In my experience, it can be a number of factors, really. It can be aesthetics, so because it looks nice. It protects the food in some instances, not in all cases. If you take fruit and vegetables, it's got its own protection there. But yeah, it can extend life as well. So, you know, a piece of fish, for example, can be extended by 6 days if you put it in a piece of plastic and put some gas in it, for instance. So it is obviously about money, yield, getting things to stores in optimum condition. And also as well, it is about food waste. So it's about people buying it, having enough life on that product to keep it in the fridge for a few days and then eat it and consume it. But clearly that's not working if we're still wasting a fifth of our food. So I think...
So you've been 3 years ago, you had this realization that something has to be changed.
Yeah, I think the realization came from, I worked on a lot of plastic reduction committees through my work with Waitrose. So as suppliers, a group of suppliers, we would look at how we can reduce the amount of plastic that we have on our packaging. And I'm not going to lie, initially these committees were set up to save money, not to save the planet. It's about reducing plastic, reducing the gauge of plastic because it's cheaper. So everybody makes more money. But the more I learned about plastics and the more I learned about alternatives and the supply chains and things like that, the more kind of I realized that, this was something that we needed to do something about. And it's not up to the retailers and the marketeers to do that for us. It's up to us as consumers to change our habits, to change what we're doing. And I truly believe if we change what we do, then they will change because they have to, because they're meeting a need, they're meeting our need. So if we say to them, actually, this is what we want to buy more loose. And we can see it happening now, Waitrose are doing it, Scott Mid have just done it in Stockbridge, Co-op are doing it now, so a lot of them are starting to do this because consumers are demanding that they have this now because they're aware of plastic pollution and they want to do something about it.
But this 3 years ago when we decided, this is where you decided to open the shop, or it?
No, not at all. This is when I decided to become sort of more activist about it. So, but it's very difficult when you're working in a food manufacturing environment to be that voice of, you've got to reduce plastic because, yeah, great, you can do it to a degree, but at the end of the day, those businesses exist to make money as well. So it quickly became sort of apparent that I couldn't work the two together. I couldn't be, this activist on plastic packaging and still develop products wrapped in plastic packaging. That doesn't work, does it? So, I needed to have a little rethink about what I wanted to do with my future. Did I want to continue doing this? Did I want to, go work somewhere else or do something for myself? And I decided to do something for myself.
And how you came up with the idea?
I'd seen at a food event that I went to a similar concept in Germany called Unverpack, and just thought, yeah, great idea, love that. So I started to explore it even more. I made contact with a lady called Catherine Conway who set up the first unpackaged store in London in 2011, I think it was. And she's the lady that's advised Waitrose and helped them launch that or do the trial as well. So really knowledgeable, hooked up with her. She gave me some ideas and I just went for it.
Okay. And now are you happy with the move?
Really happy, yeah.
Would you do this again?
I'd do it 10 times over. It's great. Yeah.
Super. Did you had to sacrifice something where you've been moving into, paid job into something like unknown business, basically? Did you know it's going to work, or you had strong belief that it's going to work?
No, not at all. I mean, I can sit here now and say, I would do this all again. But if you asked me this, last New Year's Eve, then I was in a different place. I was full of anxiety. I've never shaking with anxiety. I was in Venice, supposed to be having a really good time. But all I could think about was this big move that I'd made. I'd already left my job at that point. We were opening in 2 weeks' time. I didn't know until I opened the doors of that shop whether or not people would want this concept, would actually shop, in the Refillery. The most anxious that I've ever been in my life. And I'm not an anxious person, but it was very nerve-wracking. I mean, at the end of the day,
And how did you deal with it?
How did I deal with it? Meditation, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, meditation. I had the Headspace app and that really, really helped me. I'd like to say exercise, but I'd kind of stopped coming to fitness hall at that point, hadn't I? Because I was so busy and anxious.
But you are back now, so...
Yeah, definitely meditation helps. I don't know what I would have done.
So how you felt this 5 minutes before opening the doors? The first time was the January something, 15th?
January 15th, yeah.
So you opened the door in 5 minutes. You had any queue in front waiting?
Kind of, yeah. Well, nearly, yeah. We'd kind of staggered the invitation so that people didn't have to stand outside on January the 15th in Edinburgh because it's pretty cold. So yeah, we'd staggered the invitations, which was a good thing to do. But no, I mean, tiredness was probably the biggest thing because we didn't actually finish setting the shop up until 5 a.m. In the morning. So we literally had 2 hours sleep and then we were back. So, yeah, tiredness, adrenaline, all of that. But it was good fun.
And now, after this is what? 7? No, I'm not good in maths. 9 months or 10 months of running.
Yeah, 9.
Are you kind of getting into the rhythm of it? Or I can see you more in the club, so you definitely you definitely sorted out this part a little bit better.
Yeah. I'm really lucky. I've got fantastic staff working with me. They've been with me since the beginning and they've just worked with me and adapted with me and we've all learnt together because, none of us were greengrocers. None of us had done this before. So we've all kind of muddled through together. But yeah, I think we've got a well-oiled system now, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And did you start thinking about the next step? Is there any next step, or this is you? Of course.
Yes.
Tell me about this.
Of course.
If you can.
I can't actually.
You cannot.
No, I can't.
That's not good.
No, I know. There's a few things that we're considering at the moment. A second shop, maybe, but other eco businesses as well. Okay. So we're just exploring things at the moment. So rather than put it out there, because some of the ideas are quite new, we're just going to explore them and see which ones we should be going for.
Okay, that's fine. I will have you next time if you open something.
Yeah.
Right. So now let's just look back and do you think that big shops can do what you're doing here? Because you're showing them this is possible. You're making profit. You employing people and you've got this kind of sorted. So what stops the big shops of doing what you're doing?
Absolutely nothing other than infrastructure at the moment.
And are they willing to do this? Or because you said that some of them, they start implementing those things, but are they doing this only like a PR exercise or?
Controversially, yeah, probably some of them are. I mean, Waitrose have made huge steps in trying to get that format right. I've visited that store in Oxford. It's really good. But they still don't have the back room and the supply chain to feed into that system. So they're still using small packs and putting them into those bins. They're not using bulk because it's just a trial. So they can't change their whole infrastructure and the way that their suppliers feed into that infrastructure just for those few stores. So it will take a while to change that, but there's a desire to do it. They've proved that customers want it. It's gone down really well with them. So I'm sure they'll find a way to do it. As I said, Scott Mid have done it as well now. They've got their store in Stockbridge. But again, these are smaller stores, so they may be able to cope with it better. But it'd be interesting to see how, again, their infrastructure can work with that. Because at the end of the day, this is about reducing packaging. So it's pretty pointless if they're still sending smaller packs into those stores just to be put in dispensers for then customers to come in with more packs and then fill them up. So, it kind of needs to be done right. Whereas, we're buying 25 kilo sacks of product, which is not easy because then you need to fill your dispensers. So that's why you need a strong man like Simon, you see, so to fill the dispensers for you. But so it's not an easy process. So for stores like that have a certain sort of procedure, it's very difficult to do that. Because what do? Drag a 25 kilo sack onto the shop floor and start filling? There's a lot of thought that needs to go into it. But I think to answer your question, there is definitely a desire to do it from a meeting a consumer need point of view, because they can see that people are starting to go to the stores like mine. They're starting to go to, Way to Go and places like that. And they don't want to lose that revenue, do they? So they've got to do something.
So obviously we basically voting with our feet.
Consumers have the power to do that, absolutely, because, you're the one that they're trying to sell to. So if you're requesting something, if you're demanding something from them, then they've got to deliver it.
I hope Kelly's right. I hope there will be more shops like hers, and we will be able to help our planet become a little bit better, cleaner place. And this was the end of the podcast, but we decided to switch the seats, and Kelly asked me a couple of questions why I don't do shopping in her shop. So it was quite interesting. Before we do this, thank you very much for listening. It was a pleasure. And if you like this podcast, like it, share it, and spread the love. All right, so we're gonna switch the seats a little bit now, and Kelly will ask me as a customer why I'm not shopping in the small shops like her.
I think first I'll ask you, how do you shop? What is your normal shopping habit?
At this moment, there are two ways I'm shopping. So one is I'm ordering the boxes from the East Organics, which is like the organic things, and this kind of it's most of my vegetables and fruits. So that's sorted. And for the items like milk and butter and other things, it's probably Lidl, which we buy in bulk. So basically, one day after the class is here, we take the car and we just load up for a week. That's because, yeah. And sometimes for items which we need, there's a lot of like small shops here. There's some Polish shops around the corner as well where we tend to buy.
So when you go into Lidl, the types of bulk things that you're buying, are those the types of things that you could get from a refill shop?
I'm sure I could. And sometimes we get like rice or something from like Eastern European shops in the bulk, but the problem is you don't want to keep, like, sometimes I buy 10 kilos of rice and John is like, what you doing? There's no space here, just take it away.
Tripping over it. Yeah.
That's what she says. And probably when we came over, the Lidl was the cheapest one. That's the reality, and that's why a lot of people I know would buy in the Lidl, because this was, you could take the Lidl and then you can take the Tesco, and then for buying the same thing, you can save so much money. But recently, we've noticed that there is the gap is getting smaller. So I think that all shops are kind of, you are always going there and I always spend 50 quid, regardless which shop I go. It's always 50. And it was some time ago, it was almost impossible to spend 50 in Lidl.
Yeah. No,
so it was economics to start with.
But
now it's probably the habit of I know where to go and what to get, and the quality is quite all right. So
yeah. I mean, the discounters as supermarkets, as shops are really good, and they do offer a wide range. But again, there are things that you can get in refill shops that they sell and that you could probably get at the same price. I think sometimes the difference with refill shops is that, I mean, specifically with the Refillery, we try and stock organic if we can, only if it's not hugely more expensive. If it is, we'll stock the conventional products. But it's also really important to remember that organic's important for the environment as well. So it's not just about plastic reduction. It's about how we produce our food as well, and it is so important that we try and do that.
And I was just there's another two reasons I don't buy in the shops like yours, because first of all, there's none here. There's one in Leaf Walk, the one you, but it's quite a trek, and it's quite big, small shop, and still in my like view, it still feels like I would go there for a cup of kombucha, for example. Yeah. But I wouldn't go there to buy my shopping for a week. It feels like a boutique experience more. That's how it feels more like.
Isn't that good? Isn't that a positive, a boutique experience?
I think it is, and we touched on this that we've been saying that people think this is expensive, and it's still attached to it. I think I would, going to your shop and thinking I think that I would have to spend a lot of money, which I would save a lot in the Lidl. But from what you're saying, it's not the issue. So
yeah, not solely the issue. Be interesting. We've got a group of students coming in soon, some economics students, and we're doing an exercise whereby we're going to buy some shopping from a Sainsbury's, a Tesco, and a discounter, and then we're going to shop the Refillery and then do price comparisons against it. So I'll let you have the results once we get that. And I'm not expecting to be cheaper. I'm an independent, so I'm not going to be, but I don't think it's as expensive as people think it is. And that's one of the things that I wanted to do with the Refillery is make it more accessible to people, because I think there is a perception that these types of stores are for people with a higher disposable income or, from a certain sort of wage bracket, and it's not. It should be accessible to everybody. We should challenge you to come in, you and Joanna. I can spend your £50 for you. Easy.
I know. we could do something. We could do a challenge. It's just, why not?
You send me your shopping list, what you normally get, and I'll see how much I can.
So and we can compare it.
Yeah, but tell me how much you want, rather than, because you're going into Lidl and buying a packet of something.
Yes.
So you need to give me the quantities of what you actually need, and then see how that goes.
I think Joanna would be happy to not
have the 10
having
kilo bag.
too many things.
Yeah.
Especially in the small flat. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good exercise. I will definitely do it.
Excellent.
Cool.
Thank you.
Well done. So we've got